everyone, am I audible to all of you? Very good afternoon to all, and a warm welcome in today's workshop on home-based behavior management. Indeed, this is a very important and a very practical topic that we all need to discuss. So, I will be facilitating today's session. Myself, Arpita, I'm an RCI licensed clinical and rehabilitation psychologist. So, I have been working in this field for past 10 years with multidisciplinary experience as I have worked in both academic as well as the clinical fields. It includes a lot of neuropsychiatry clinics, psychological treatment centers, the addiction cum rehabilitation centers, audiovisual production house where I have been associated as personality development counselor. Here also, I do run a certificate course in personality development and body language, which is always on high demand. I also have been a part of the National Trust, you might have heard of it, it's a government welfare body for autism and cerebral palsy, mental retardation. Apart from that, I also have been associated with a lot of schools and NGOs. I also have been a former lecturer at the University of Calcutta and clinical psychologist at Government Hospital. And while working in these areas, obviously dealing with children, dealing with adolescents, and their, during their temper tantrums, it becomes really, really difficult for teachers, for the parents, and those would be the important areas that we need to learn. That's the part we are going to cover in detail in today's session. I'm also having experience in working with clients having organic disease, mood and anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, childhood disorder, mental retardation, and childhood disorders. So while we talk about these areas, it's not that all children or all individuals, they are coming up with some kind of disorders or some major problems with the diagnosis. No, it may not be that much clinically significant, but that might be too much concerning. So with regard to those parts, managing them practically is very important. I also give family and marriage or couple counseling where both pre-marital and post-marital difficulties have been dealt with completely. And here also I do run a certificate course in couple and family. I have also worked with special conditions like deliberate self-harm, bereavement, substance abuse, learning disability, LGBTQ counseling. With regard to these areas, also separately, we are having certain courses. I am an expert in conducting psychometric assessments for adults as well as children. And I'm a trained psychotherapist, and I use my experience in customizing different therapies, which includes CBT, REBT, PBT, MET, play therapy, supportive psychotherapy, and SLPT with my clients. Apart from this, I head my clinic offline as well as I take up clients online on a regular basis. So this was about. So before we move into the topic in detail, I would like to get introduced to each one of you. So I would request in brief if you can just introduce yourself. That would be a lovely way to start and a great way to connect with each one of you. You can slowly unmute your devices one by one and share about you. Just your name, your qualification, what you are doing currently, and what made you join this workshop. That would be a lovely way to start. Accordingly, I would also, keep in mind and go ahead with the discussions and the examples. Yeah. Let's proceed with this. If you are comfortable, you can also turn on your cameras. Yeah, please follow. You're not audible. would request all of you to introduce yourself in the
Good morning, ma'am.
good one.
Ma'am, this is Chandni Biswas. I have done many courses under your guidance,
Yes.
and this one also I'm interested to join because of so that my skills and many other informations I can revise and I can gain some new informations and so that I can use it where I'm working currently as a school counselor.
Okay.
So for that reason, I have joined, and it's always wonderful to join your workshop and courses. I get to know many things about the subject and the application. So that's the reason that I have joined.
Thank you so much. Great to hear that. You're welcome, Chad.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let's proceed with others.
Hello,
Yeah, hi.
this is Shilpa. Like I'm a counselor and a psychotherapist, and I'm just working in schools as well as in police stations. So this like kind of my like way like how I'm just handling behavioral issues and all those stuff. So I just want to know more about this. So I've just joined this workshop, and I have did several workshop with you, and I thought I can. This is also really helping me.
No, you're welcome, Shilpa.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
About others. Who has and we have the
I'm hello.
yeah.
I'm Ruta Patwardhan, and I have done my master's in counseling psychology, and I was teaching psychology at the undergraduate level for around 10 years. And this year itself, I've shifted full time to counseling, and I'm working with an NGO which has houses children and adolescents. So I have experience working with adolescents and young adults, but not a lot of experience working with younger children. So I thought this workshop could help me in that area.
So that's great. You're welcome. How about others? So let us now proceed with the part. This is a very vast area, okay, but still I have tried to put in a lot of things in today's discussion. Also, we are having a separate course on this, but we first started with that workshop so that all of you can get to understand and get introduced with it before you can join for the course on this topic, that is home-based behavior management coach and positive parenting coach. We are having separate topics on this. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the rules for controlling behavior, increasing desirable behaviors, how to go ahead with that practically, all the practical things with regard to examples and case discussions we are going to discuss in today's session. We would also be discussing about the simple ways to improve children's behavior, be it at home, be it at school. And as you all also mentioned, you are currently working with children, or maybe you're a national school or a full-time counselor, then definitely these would be the areas which is going to, help or benefit you greatly. Yeah. Apart from that, we would also be discussing about the ABCs of behavior management at home. And also, we will be discussing about positive parenting. With regard to this part, I was mentioning that this is a separate, vast part. We are having a separate course. But yes, today I have tried to put in that also in today's discussion, and also dealing with the clients out of data. These are all the most important and the most practical areas for managing with certain kind of difficult behaviors. So that is the part we are going to cover. So as we proceed with our session, obviously we would be discussing a lot of things. So I would request all of you to take notes, because humanly it's not possible to, remember so many things that we are going to discuss, Harry. So you can take down notes. However, I'm also recording the session and I'll also share the session recording with you all by the end of the day. But many a time it happens, maybe because of technical glitch, the recording is not working or it's not accessible or it gets deleted, then neither of us will be able to do anything. So to be on the safer side, I always request individuals to take notes. So do the same so that you're not missing out on anything. In case of any doubt, question, queries, you can put it up in the chat box. Or you can also raise your hand so that one by one you are unfortunately, and there is no overlap of voices. Now, when we are talking about this topic, right, home-based behavior management, I would start from the very basics to make it very easy and interesting for all of you. So when we are talking about behavior management, for that, we will first have to understand what is behavior. So behavior is the actions or reactions of a person in response to external stimuli or internal stimuli, how they are reacting or responding to something, or manners or deportment, especially good manners, general course of life, treatment of others, manner of action. So the activity of an organism, especially is measurable for its effects and response to the stimulus, the functioning response or activity of an object or substance. That part is also there. Now, when we are talking about this part, let us discuss some of the common behavioral problems in case of children that we can get to see. So when we are talking about children, also to a great extent, we would get to see similar kind of issues in case of adolescents, because if it goes undiagnosed or untreated when they were children, they would grow up with the similar problems. So always it is something that we are supposed to remember. The faster it can be identified and managed, the better it is. So behavior is anything that is observable. You can observe somebody's behavior, you can measure its activity. And this is what we are talking about. What we are mentioning is behavior. Right? So when we are talking about this part, it is very important for us to understand one thing. That is, there are different types of behavior. Every behavior is not same. There are different types. So when we are talking about these types of behavior, so with regard to this, one type can be skill behavior. What is skill behavior? Skill behavior means something which is socially accepted. I will do something and people will be saying, yeah, it's okay. It's accepted. Okay. So socially accepted behaviors, that means it is age appropriate, it is gender appropriate. Another type of behavior which can be seen or which can be noted, that is the problem behavior, something which is not good, something which is not accepted, something which is not appropriate to their age or which is going to create some harm for them or for others. This means which is not socially accepted and it is also not age appropriate. That is also there. So for such cases, we are saying it is a problem behavior because it is creating problem. So when we are further talking about adaptive behavior or skill behavior, so in that case, the maladaptive behavior in general refers to the way in which an individual function in his or her social environment. Amber 1977 defines that adaptive behavior is like as the effectiveness or degree to with which an individual meets the standard of personal independence and social responsibilities is expected of her environment. That is the thing. Now, when we are talking about problem behavior, in case of problem behavior, what kind of things we can see? Like violent and destructive behavior, temper tantrums, misbehavior, self-injurious behavior, repetitive behavior, odd behavior, hyperactivity, rebellious behavior, antisocial behavior. These are some kind of behavior which is not at all accepted, right? So talking about understanding behavior. First, we need to understand the behavior before you start treating the behavior, right? So understanding the root cause of an individual's behavior is essential, as without this, it is unlikely that any behavior strangely will be sustainable. So there are 5 basic models for understanding the child's behavior that we need to discuss, because this will help us in understanding all the parts. The biological model, the behavioral model, the cognitive model, and the systemic model. So first, let us discuss what is this biological model. Each of the models in detail we are going to discuss. In case of biological model, it mentions that children basically they have a tendency to interact with the environmental influences around them, and this interaction informs their behavior. So a lot of researches also have been carried out to study behavior of individuals. And research evidence has come up from studies around twins separated at birth. So 2 children were born as twins, and just after the birth, these 2 children were separated from their parents. Okay, and they were brought up elsewhere. This goes to show that both the nature and the nurture is involved in our development, because biologically they are of the same blood, but they have been brought up by separate parents. Then later on, it was seen that, some of the biological features are also similar, but at the same time, depending upon the nurturers, they have learned different things. So this can help us to understand that both the nature as well as the nurture part is important. So although while dealing with behavior, attention needs to be paid to creating positive environment and positive experiences to promote a good behavior. If you're not going to provide a good experience or a good situation to an individual, then you cannot expect something good to be developing in the person. After that comes the behavioral model. As per the behavioral model, behavior can be modified through condition. Like something is taking place repeatedly, and through that you are developing a behavior. So this is achieved by another event following that action. So if I use an abusive word, then and then I am getting a scolding. So it has got condition. So no, I didn't do it. So there are 2 types of conditioning. One is classical conditioning, another one is operant conditioning. You might be knowing about this in your graduation. You might have studied in the chapter of learning. That's how we learn. That's how behavior is also learned. In case of classical conditioning, what is happening? A behavior is connected with certain stimulus. For example, a child feels happy and excited on a Friday afternoon, as this is the time the whole class is fun Friday and nothing serious teaching and other activities or no exams. Okay. So they are learning that Fridays are happy days, fun Friday, because it has not conditioned classically. Another one is operant conditioning. What is operant conditioning? They are operating on the environment. After operating on the environment, then they are getting to understand and bring about a change in something. A behavior which is connected and repeated by rewarding the positive behavior and issuing sanctions for negative behavior. So when a child is saying good morning, ma'am, so the teacher is also nodding the head and saying good morning, child. So the person operated on the environment and got a positive feedback. But in case of some negative thing the child is doing, then also the child is getting a punishment. So operating on the environment and getting to understand that. Another model is the cognitive model, the third one that you can see. So the cognitive approach basically helps the child to judge and reason effectively and have a perception of their surrounding that is taking place. Cognitive comes from the word cognition, their thought process. This means that the way in which we behave is influenced by our thinking. How I am thinking, based on that, I'll be doing things. So the cortex is the conscious, rational thinking part of the human brain, and it determines a child's response also to certain situations. With regard to this also, researches have been carried out. And research has shown that if an infant is constantly being subjected to negative situation, for example, experiencing domestic violence or negative situations at home continuously, then the connections that form the cortex to help deal with situations in a rational way will be limited because they are not learning the thing. So in such situations, the child is left to rely on the limbic system, which is the body's alarm response. So when a child is faced with mild situation, for example, a person is sitting next to them, takes their pencil without asking, instead of rational thinking, cortex being engaged in the limbic system is triggered and may display fight reaction or trying to snatch away that pencil immediately from the other person. And another one is the systemic part. So systemic approach looks at targeting the individual's behavior within the system, like within the family, within the friends, within the school, within the classmates, within their community, within their outside school or clubs, something like that. So these are certain training areas that we need to learn so that we can guide them accordingly. So the quality of these systems is a great influence on child's behavior. For example, a child is living in a family where the child every day looks at domestic violence taking place. That would naturally struggle with another system that is in school. So the behavior the child is experiencing at home, for example, shouting, violence, throwing things, using abusive word, aggression, this would not work in school. Because if the child is shouting and abusing and hitting, obviously the child knows that this would not be entertained. This can cause problem for the child. The child is understanding that I would be punished, I would be suspended, I would be scolded. So in situations such as this, working with the family to understand the environment in which the child lives is the paramount of finding solutions to help their behavior. As I mentioned that I have been taking up clients on a regular basis. So as I'm also available for online consultations on a regular basis, including the weekends, I'm taking up clients online. So the most common thing that I come to hear from the parents is, my child needs counseling. But after talking to the child and separately talking to the parent, I'm getting to understand that maybe the parent needs more, you know, training with regard to certain parts, how they are going to manage on certain areas. It's not that solely it's the child's problem. So how do we go about with it? We need to understand the root causes of behavior differences, from where it is stemming. So firstly, it can be because of individual difference. Each and every individual is different. And the problem is parents don't get to understand and they start comparing or disrespecting or putting stress on the child. So that is incorrect. Because each and every individual is different. Something which the other child can do, you cannot expect your child also to do the same thing or in the same way, or it is kind of an imposing demand on the child, which is creating a lot of stress maybe on the child. The difference in family patterns. See, in their family, they are following this, why you are not. So in family also, family-wise, there are differences. Then there can be impairments, there can be some physical limitations, disabilities based on that. Again, behavioral problems or differences can be seen. Environmental factors are there. Just now, as we have been discussing so many things with regard to environmental or family differences, psychological factors. Just now we were discussing about this part with regard to the model. Then emotional regulation, self-regulation, problem-solving skills that to vary from person to person. Delaying gratification, negotiating, communicating wishes and needs to adults, knowing what's appropriate or expected in a group. Based on this, the behavior differences can be taking place. So whenever you see that there is some difference in the behavior, these are the areas that need to be assessed to understand. Now, the next point that we are going to discuss is often we get to see that children are showing some problem behaviors and they are getting scolding, punishment, parents are screaming, teacher in the school is fed up and is mentioning that this is the naughtiest class I have seen in my life. So why they are creating such kind of problem behavior? Can you share certain things like what might be the possible reasons because of which they are portraying such kind of problem behavior? Can you put it up in the chat box? Why do you think they are showing this problem behaviors? Are they getting anything or it is just for fun? You can put it up in the chat box. Age matters, okay. Anything else they are getting by doing that? Attention, very important. Yes, correctly identified. They get attention when I'm being naughty, my teacher is looking at me. Or I'm getting attention from my parents, which maybe otherwise my parents don't give much attention, which I expect. Anything else? Influenced by peers, heard, yes. So what does this mean? This is meaning that behind negative behaviors also, there are some possible reasons. They are gaining something and that's why they are doing. So we need to understand what they are getting before you jump into it and mention, I will help you, I will tell you. Right. So talking about the functions of problem. First, attention seeking. They want to get attention. For example, in the class, the teacher never notices this child. So the child is singing a song and being jumpy. Why? Because the teacher will be like, hey, please sit down. Why are you doing this? So the child is getting attention. This is what the child is wanting. Just like that, self-stimulation. For example, making some sounds with the mouth continuously. So it's like stimulating. Skill deficit, maybe they are lacking in some skills, so they don't know what to be done in that situation. That's why they are doing it. Or maybe something tangible, that is, they're engaging in a behavior for access to something. Constant disturbing their mother, pinching their mother, pushing their mother, biting, and their mother is saying, okay, take this phone, see this video, please be quiet. Allow me to read the book. So the child got access to the mobile videos. Or maybe escape. For example, no, I will not do. Then the mother is like, okay, you don't have to do the homework. Go, play. But after 10 minutes, you will come. Yeah, okay. So it is kind of an escape for the child. Yes, I don't have to do the homework now. So you will have to understand what is the function because of which the child is doing it in this way. Now, coming to the next part. Self-stimulation part once more. Definitely, I will explain. Self-stimulation means, for example, the child is making some sound from the mouth or continuously, taking a pen and hitting on the table and creating a sound. That is stimulating the child. Stimulating the child in the sense the child is getting engaged in that. That's fun. Nobody plays with me. I'm just breaking something, twisting something, making sound, and I'm engaging myself in that. That is self-stimulating. Now, let us discuss about the rules for controlling behavior. This is the main part, no? Everybody comes up to us asking, ma'am, how to manage? How will I control? So, Yeah, let's discuss this. So rule number 1, consequences of control behavior. You need to understand what is the consequence that is taking place because of the control behavior. Because based on that consequence, either the person will be continuing with it again and again, or the person might stop on it. Okay. So what it means, so the child behaves, or sorry, the child's behavior is it's written behaves, it will be behavior. The child's behavior is caused by what he gets in return, right? A child is continuously, pulling the mother's hair, the mother is not doing it. So the child do it again. But the moment the child pulls the mother's hair, the mother is scolding the child. Is something the child gets in return negative. So the child will not do that. What it might look. So take a look. I have tried to put in a case study to discuss and understand. Like Sam asks his mother for a bowl of ice cream. She tells him no, explaining that it will ruin his dinner. What is Sam doing? Sam begins to throw a temper tantrum, crying and kicking his feet against the floor. To get Sam to stop screaming, what is happening? The mother is like, okay, stop it. I'm going to give you the ice cream. So what is happening? Sam is, yes, I got the ice cream. So now what is Sam learning? Sam is learning every time I throw temper tantrums, I would get it. But the mother did it for that time because that was very irritating. But the mother did not understand in this way I'm damaging my child. Because now every time Sam will throw temper tantrum to ask something he wants. So when we are talking about this, we need to understand that most behaviors work in 2 ways. To get something or to have something taken away. So for this case, it was to get the bowl of ice cream. But what if you have your child broccoli for dinner? That's a vegetable. And told her she needed to eat it. She begins to cry, no, I don't want to have it, and put her head on the table so that you excuse her. Okay, you don't have to eat it. Right? So that behavior worked to have something taken away. What is to be taken away? The broccoli is to be taken away. Because the child does not want to have that broccoli because maybe the child doesn't like the taste. Right? So when trying to understand your child's behavior, it is important to look at the functions of the behavior or what your child is trying to make happen with the behaviors. Until and unless this is done, you will not be able to carry out and understand and manage with any of the behaviors in an appropriate structural way. So this is very, very important. So rule number 1, try to understand what consequence they are facing. Now, how can it be used? So while it is certainly easier said than done, often parents mention, no, ma'am, you are mentioning I would not give, but you don't know what scene she creates. People start asking me that what has happened. They think maybe I am hitting her or I have, some way punished her physically and torturing her the way she creates. So while it is certainly easier than said done, the way to get Sam's behavior to stop is to stop giving what he wants. This is the first thing that they must do. Stop giving what he wants. He is wanting the ice cream. But I, as a parent, what I will do, I will stop giving. So when his needs would not get fulfilled, he would get to understand, oh, this is a flop idea. That's the point. So if his mom does not reward his tantrum, by giving him a bowl of ice cream, eventually he would learn that tantrums don't get him what he wants. So now, through the tantrum, he is getting to understand, yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it. So word of caution here, behaviors can get worse before they get better. Then the mother can mention that, ma'am, it has increased. Let it increase. Eventually it will come back. So to be realistic about what you can tolerate and make sure everyone is on board with trying to the behavior, if dad is eventually deciding to give in, even the mom says no to it, then it will not work. So both the parents, they are supposed to follow. If one parent is saying no and the other parent is saying, it's okay, then it will not work because the child is now understanding. I will demand this from the father and I will get it. So that is not at all a good idea. And that's why when we are joining for therapy sessions or for parental counseling sessions, we always suggest both the parents must join the session. This is the thing that we need to understand. Now, let's proceed. Rule number 2. The first one was with regard to the consequences that we were discussing. Rule number 2, behavior is strengthened by reinforcement. What kind of reinforcement an individual is getting, based on that, the frequency of that behavior will be increasing or not. That is depending. Okay. So what is reinforcement? Reinforcement is basically kind of what the person is getting. So rewarding behaviors helps them make sure it will happen again. So if a child does something good, you are supposed to reward the child. Rewarding does not always mean that you would give chocolate to the child. Always chocolate cannot be the reward. Another thing that is very important for us to also understand, that is, reward is not like bribing the child. Many mothers think that, well, reward the child, that means I'm going to bribe the child. And the child will become very, much demanding later. Reward is not bribing. So what it might look like when we are talking about giving reward. So another case study I have tried to put in. See, for each of the points I have tried to put in case study for a better understanding. So here, Rayleigh's mom has been trying to get her to pick up her toys every night before bed. If Rayleigh picks up her toys, she gets to put a sticker on a chart on the refrigerator. So Rayleigh's mom tells her that when she gets 5 stickers, she will get to pick out a special toy at the toy store of her wish. So Rayleigh really wants new Barbie. So she makes sure to pick up all the toys. So how it is different from bribing? In case of bribing, it's like, okay, you take this toffee and you give it to me. That is bribing. So next time also what will happen if you ask the child, okay, clean your table. No, first give me the toffee, then I will clean the table. Now it is not happening in that. So how is it then working for Rayleigh? So Rayleigh will keep picking up her toys because she wants to get stickers. Stickers are Rayleigh's daily reward, but she knows if she keeps doing a good job, she will get a bigger reward. And how can this be used? So when we are talking about this, then rewards don't always have to be toys. They can be as simple as good job. You're just, verbally praising them, or you're giving a high five. So when a particular behavior happens that you like, such as picking up the toys or using good manners, it is important to draw attention to it and make the child understand that he or she did something good and you have noticed that thing and you are liking that. This is very important that you bring in attention for the child. Next, rule number 3. Behavior is weakened by withholding consequences. You can also withhold certain consequences that would weaken certain behaviors. Again, let us discuss in detail like the previous ones. So when we are talking about this here, what it means, it's like taking things away can change behavior. So what it might look like. So during the dinner time, Daniel plays with his food, not eating, playing with the spoon. So he makes mountains out of the mashed potatoes, then acts out scenes using the little carrot. So when he does this, then Daniel has his own family's attention. Everybody is attention. What are you doing? What are you creating? So Daniel is getting attention. Some people find it funny, like his brothers. Ha ha ha, see what he has done. He has created a face. This is you. This is your face. So getting more attention. But his mom and dad yell at him, stop playing. Have the food first. So how does it work? So think back to the principle 1. The first rule that we were discussing. What was the first rule? Rule number 1 we did discuss is the consequence of the behavior. Right? So what does Daniel get by acting this way? He gets his family's attention. The attention is the consequence. In order to change the behavior, the consequence must be taken away. So how to be used? It can be like if we wanted to change Daniel's behavior, we would encourage the entire family to ignore Daniel when he begins to play with the food. Just ignore. He is getting attention. That's why he is doing it. So just ignore that. And encourage his mom and dad instead. Encourage. Encouragement is very important. Instead, they should encourage. What they should encourage? Or praise the person and the brother for sitting nicely on the table and eating the right way. So what is happening? Daniel is learning this is not entertained and that is encouraged or praised. So this is how it is physically helping. Ahead with the next rule. Rule number 4. Rule number 4, behavior is weakened by punishment. Punishment is the common thing that we get to see, right? Often in school, teachers are punishing, at home, mother is punishing, or the other family member is punishing. So that is also another way of dealing with an individual's behavior. So what it means? It means giving the child an immediate consequence or taking away a later reward will decrease the behavior. For example, you will not be allowed to go to the park today if you don't complete your homework. Okay. So what might it look like? So Lily calls her sister's name. Lily's mom immediately tells Lily she does not like the way Lily talked to her sister. And then she tells Lily that later that night she will lose 30 minutes of TV time. So you have 1 hour TV or you have your favorite cartoon. So you would lose that time if you are not talking to your sister in a respectful way. How it works? So being given the immediate punishment of being scolded and having TV time taken away teaches Lily not to call her sister. So how can it be used in this case? Verbal repairments and immediate negative reaction. Behavior will also decrease by taking away something positive from the child that the child wants later. So this is a very good technique to deal with the behavior. Next, rule number 5. Consequences must be consistent and immediate. Whatever consequences they are facing, if you are like, they have done it one day and after 7 days you are, now I will not allow, it would not listen and it would not work. It should be immediate and also at the same time, this should be also consistent. So when we are talking about this, so in that case, if you want behavior to change, the consequence must be given right after the behavior, just after the person has done that thing, just after that, readily you are supposed to give the consequence and must be the same consequence. Sometimes you are scolding, sometimes you are not, sometimes you are allowing, sometimes you are not. That will not help. So what it might look like, so let's say we want Sammy to stop hitting. Okay, when he hits in school, the teacher places him in the timeout situation. The teacher is saying, you sit in this room, you are not allowed to come. Be there for 30 minutes and then after that you come. So mom and dad agrees to provide the same consequence at home. So when Sammy hits his brother because he wants a toy, he is placed in the timeout. One day at the park, another child pushes Sammy on the playground. So Sammy hits him. Now dad sees all of this has happened but feels that since the other child pushed Sammy, it was okay for Sammy to hit and thus Sammy is not punished. So he is not allowed to sometimes and why he is allowed to hit sometimes. So Sammy's hitting behavior will continue because the consequences are not the same every time. So even if another child is the cause for Sammy's misbehavior, then also Sammy must be told that no, hitting is not the solution. You can tell his parents, you can inform me, or you can negotiate with the thing, not hitting each other. So how it can be used? What happens after the behavior must be the same every time in every place for everyone. Only then it would work, otherwise it would not work. Number 6, behavior is influenced through modeling. What is modeling? Modeling is when a child basically observes or models someone and then learns the behavior from them. That is what we are talking about, modeling. Okay. So when we are talking about modeling, then what does it mean? So it means that your child learns by watching you, what you are doing. So children look at their parents to learn how to act, how to talk, how to play, how to interact with their world. So for example, I as a mother, whenever I am angry, I start cursing, screaming, crying aloud. So what is my child learning? Oh, this is how we are supposed to express our anger. So my child will be doing the same thing. Even if I'm teaching my child, no, you are not supposed to do this. Because my child will say, Mama, you are also doing this. So why is it not okay? So showing your child good behavior will actually help them to learn that behavior. So this is how we basically go ahead with the month. So these are the 6 rules that we need to use while carrying out with an individual's behavior. Now, more practical things we are going to discuss for today's session. Increasing desirable behavior. If you want to increase the frequency of a particular behavior, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to use reinforcement. You are supposed to use praise. Now, while talking about reinforcement, there can be primary reinforcer, there can be secondary reinforcer. Now, let me discuss each of these parts more in detail. So in case of reinforcement, we must identify what actually is reinforcing to that person, not what we expect should be reinforcing him. So a good approach to determine the reinforcers is to ask the person what the person needs. For example, I'm giving the child a chocolate. The child is like, oh ma'am, I don't like chocolate. I don't eat it. So it will not work as a reinforcer. Similarly, events we may consider not to be reinforcing, in fact, are. A common example is the teacher who yells at a student as an intended punishment, when really the teacher may be reinforcing the student with attention and or causing the student to receive social reinforcement from his peers for getting the teacher mad, right? Another thing is the praise. Praise is a common and powerful reinforcer. Just a simple word. Very good. See how beautifully he has done? Even that is also enough. When it is used appropriately, it is made dramatic changes in variety of settings, including the elementary classrooms and businesses. So reinforcers for students can include like, if you are thinking, like many of you who are joining here, you mentioned that you are working with children or adolescents or working as school counselor. So what kind of things can work as a reinforcer in the school situation we are trying to? So in that case, for example, longer recess time, opportunity to be the teachers, like to assist the teacher in doing something, dances, or participating in some programs, a time for a special reward area filled with different things to do. Okay, these kind of things can be considered. Others, can you see the screen? Something to others. Okay, yeah, Shilpa, I would request you to rejoin once. Many a time what happens is because of maybe your poor network on your side, maybe it's not loading or it's taking time. Just rejoin once, that would work. So this is how we basically go ahead with the reinforcement part or the praise that we are discussing. Now, talking about the concept of the like the primary reinforcer and the secondary reinforcer. So when we are talking about this concept, this is also a very important part that we can get to understand, because this would help an individual deal with the area in a better light. Because appropriately, if we are using it, only then it is going to work. Otherwise, it will not. Are you able to see the screen now, Shilpa? Great. So when we are talking about the primary reinforcer, this is also known as the unconditional reinforcement, which occurs naturally. Like it doesn't require any learning or have an even like anything like which is necessary for survival, like food, air, water, sleep. These are primary. Like if you get this, only after that you will get to eat. It's a primary reinforcer. So what is secondary reinforcer? This has to inherit value and only has reinforcing qualities when it is linked with a primary reinforcer. For example, praise linked with affection. Okay, so this is how. For example, money is only worth something when you can use to buy other things, either things that satisfy the basic needs or other secondary reinforcers. So depending upon the need, you are giving the reinforcement to an individual. Now, when we are talking about the types of reinforcement, there are different types. There can be positive reinforcement, there can be negative reinforcement, there can be punishment. Yeah, the easiest thing often parents and teachers choose is to use punishment. So what is positive reinforcement? Positive reinforcement is a very powerful and effective tool to help shape an individual's behavior. So it works by presenting a motivating item to the person after the desired behavior is exhibited, making the behavior more likely to happen. I'll give an example. A mother is giving her son a toffee, okay, for cleaning up his play area. Or maybe a little girl is receiving 5 rupees for every A plus she is getting in her papers. This is positive reinforcement. So when we are talking about negative reinforcement is a reinforcement of a desired behavior by removal of the stimuli. In the positive one, I am giving 5 rupees, I am giving toffee, but here I am removing a stimuli or an item after a particular behavior is exhibited. So the likelihood of particular behavior occurring again in future is increased because of the removing or avoiding the negative stimuli. For example, teachers can use negative reinforcement to motivate the students and change their behavior. For example, a teacher can eliminate that night's homework if kids study hard to accomplish a lot of things in the class. So, okay, you don't have to do the homework if you are paying attention in the class. So what will happen? More paying attention in the class behavior would be increasing. That is the negative reinforcement. So something is removed to increase something. Punishment, we all know. Like you are screaming at the child, you are scolding the child, you are beating the child. So what is happening? It is always trying to decrease a behavior. Will you do it again? No. Say no. So I'm trying to decrease a behavior. But punishment has a lot of harmful effects. Physical, verbal punishment, or whatever thing, like yelling, slapping, hitting, spanking. In this way, you are teaching violence and destroying self-esteem and creating anger in your child. This is going to interfere with the learning and damage the relationship also. So when you are hurting the child is not able to slap you back. When the child is going to school and something happens, the child is pushing the other child, pulling the hair and, outraging. Alternatives to punishment should be used. So prevent unwanted behavior by meeting your child's needs when they are first expressed. Provide the child a safe and a friendly environment, not like hitting, hurting, slapping, not in that way. Think about how you would like to be treated if you were there. Because these things are not all positive. Many a times we get to see often our parents mention that, when we were young, this is how our parents and our teachers used to, do. They used to use a scale, they used to use this, they used to hit us. We were not having any problem. Who told you were not having any problem? You are carrying that same thing and you are doing it on your child. The damage, the aggression. So we need to show empathy. Empathy is very important. Empathy means to place yourself in the child's shoes and understand their point of view, how they would be feeling, and find out alternatives. You should use non-violent communication, understand and meet the need that led to the desired behavior. Don't be aggressive to your child. Try to fill the emotional tank of the child. That is, filling the child's emotional tank means hugging the child, being gentle to the child, maintaining an eye contact, giving undivided attention. This is important. And parental command versus cordial persuasion. These two things we need to understand. Like instead of saying, stop running, please slow down. This is better option than stop running. So this is how you can go at it. When a child is shouting a lot, what we say? Stop shouting immediately. I tell you, stop shouting. No. Can you be a little softer? Same thing, but I'm putting it in a different way. Okay, because the moment you pass some command to the person will like, no, I will not. It is not going to be of help. Or maybe it initially helped, so you are thinking, yeah, it used to work previously. Previously, the child was also small. With time, those things will not work which used to work previously. Right? Depending upon the child's age, a lot of things will be changing. That part also you'll have to understand. Next, shaping. Shaping is also a technique that you use to shape an individual's behavior. Now, what is shaping? In case of reinforcement, we have discussed. Once the person is reaching the target or have done something, then I'm giving a sticker or a toffee, something like that. In case of shaping, it is little different. Everything is not easy to achieve at one go. Mama, I have done it, give me. There are certain things which will require a lot of time. Then what will you say? After 6 months, when you will be able to do it, then I will give you. It will not work. Often parents say that I have seen. And then they are rushing to me. Ma'am, I have told her I will give her a bicycle. But she is not happy with it. She is not working with that. Nothing works for her. She is so demanding. The child is not at all demanding. The child did not ask for something else about bicycle. But what are you doing? You have set a huge thing for the child. Child also doesn't know how much month or year it is going to take for the child to do that. So basically, that was the child was going to a guitar class. First day of the guitar class, mother told, once you start performing like an artist, I'll give you one bicycle. How will I know how long it will take me to learn like an artist? Had it been told that your teacher has, trained you 4 notes, so just do your homework, you will get a topic. That would have been different because I know that's achievable. And by what time it is going to be done, I know that. But in this way, it would not help, right? So shaping is like you are going to continuously give small reinforcement for all goal directed. So in his operant conditioning experiments, Skinner used an approach called shaping. So instead of rewarding only after the person has reached the target, in case of shaping, what we do is we reward the successive approximation towards a target. What is successive approximation? Approximately they are correct. They are not playing the correct note on the guitar, but they are trying in the correct way. Even for that also give reinforcement. So why is shaping needed? So in shaping behaviors, we are breaking down the huge behavior into small achievable steps. Instead of saying, once you learn the guitar, I'm saying you follow the things so that you can reach the goal. So I'm breaking it down. So here, this is going to reinforce any response that resembles to the desired behavior. Then reinforce the response that more closely resembles the desired behavior. You will no longer reinforce the previously reinforced response. Next, you begin to reinforce the response that have been more closely resembling to the desired behavior and continue to reinforce closer and closer, approximately correct or desired response. And finally, only reinforce the desired behavior. So in this way, you are basically shaping the individual's behavior to a particular goal-directed behavior. Okay, so this is how it is to be done. Let's consider parents whose goal is to have their child learn to room the clean. Clean the room. So in one day, the child will not be learning everything. So they can use shaping to help them master the stepwise thing. Just like I have mentioned about the guitar class, this example I'm giving at home. So instead of performing the entire task, they can set up small fragments like clean your toilet first, then clean the table, then put these things, then put your clothes away, then you do these things. Finally, he cleans the entire. And for every possible approximately correct thing, they are getting the reinforcement. This is all about shape. Next thing that we would be discussing is about prompting and fading. So prompting means including the person to perform a desired behavior by presenting a prompt. Do this, hold that. So prompts are like clutches, they are kind of artificial support that you are providing. So when you greet someone with hello, you expect to get a response. You don't expect to have to follow your greeting with some hint about what the other person would say, such as now say hi back. So while prompts are useful tools for teaching, it is also important to stop or fade it. Somebody has said hello, we often tell our child, say hello, say hello. So I'm prompting. But throughout my life, I will not do that. Slowly I will fade. So fading is like you can wear your child's prompts. Slowly you're fading away. That is simply you're gradually reducing the strength of your prompt, so that the child is learning and not becoming dependent, that when they would say only, then I will say. So this is how we can follow. Now, when we are talking about this prompting and fading, there are certain rules that we need to follow. We need to first define the behavior so that they are clear about what they need to do. Then we need to define suitable prompts. For example, the child, somebody is telling the child, hello, and I'm saying, say hi, say hello. This is suitable. But if I'm saying, you are so stupid, you cannot also greet that person is saying hello. So where is the prompt? The child is confused. I'm saying you are so stupid. Where is the prompt? That is incorrect. Then often mothers come and then they mention, ma'am, I'm seeing her. This is so. So that is not the correct way how your child would be understanding. The instruction was incorrect. So prompt, reinforce, and then gradually fade. And monitor the results. The child is able to follow or not. You cannot just say, I'm trained and she is not able to. You have to see the progress of the child. Because depending upon that, a lot of things will be varying from person to person at this time. Next is modeling. Just a while ago, we have already discussed about modeling, that they are observing someone, imitating someone, and then they're learning to do some behavior. So see it that you are expressing positive things to the child. Otherwise, what will happen? They would be not mentioning those things. For example, like you are saying that you should read book and you should not watch TV. But in my pastime, I am sitting in front of the child, I am watching TV. Read book, it would not work. So through modeling, they can learn good things also, bad things also. So make sure you are a good model to your child. It's very important. Another technique which we often practically use at home, at school, which is very, very important, that is the token economy technique. Note this is very important technique. Token economy is basically a form of behavior modification which is designed to increase the desired behavior and decrease undesired behavior with the use of tokens. You can use tokens like stars, stickers, or maybe a board where you are writing scores. So individuals are receiving tokens immediately after displaying some desirable behavior. And these tokens are collected later and they can exchange these tokens for meaningful object or privilege. For example, in a school, okay, so every time the child is being attentive in the class, the child is getting some stars, some badge or some plastic stars we use for decorating Christmas trees and all. So those are very less expensive, or maybe some marbles or colored stones, or maybe some stickers, or maybe some coupons where the child's name is written and the date for which the child has got the token. The child can now save the tokens. Now the teacher has mentioned the person who can collect 10 tokens, okay, next month on the Friday, that person can go to the school canteen and can have whatever they wish to in exchange of that token. You don't have to give any money. So in the canteen, you are keeping them informed. They are, keeping some child-friendly food. And in exchange of that token, maybe there are some options that you can have fruit juice, or you can have this particular cake, or this cookie, or this particular puff, something like that. So the child is getting that. So what is happening? The child earned those tokens and used it to get something. So it's gone. It's like you work, you get money, you use the money to buy a mobile on your money gone. Now again, you need a power bank. So again, you will work to get money. So here, we are not giving money, we are giving the tokens. So this is a perfect example of token economic used in school situations. In this similar way, this can also be used at home. Often children nowadays demand, no, order pizza, order pizza. Okay, if you want pizza, you need to have 20 tokens. You have it. So how will I collect token? You wake up in the morning on time, you get 1 token. You do your homework on time, you get 3 tokens. You complete your glass of milk without spilling a drop and creating any nuisance, you get 10 tokens. So this way you collect tokens. You save the tokens with you when you want to have pizza. These are the conditions. In exchange of that, you can order a pizza. You don't have to face any question for that. This actually helps, and the demanding behavior of children, nagging behavior of children also reduces. So what would be the advantages if I use this token economy? It is teaching them to delay their gratification, that, okay, I will get it and then I will exchange. They're not like, give me, give me, give me. This will stop. It is flexible. It keeps your child engaged in good behavior. It is also used for multiple children in a class you are trying to manage, or at home you are having 3 children. So for all of them, you can use it. You need to be consistent. They are also consistent. This is also teaching them a real world concept, that this is how it functions, and good habits are also already developing. Okay. So this is how it needs to be done. But the parent have to follow. Initially, what happens is parents also start to do shortcut. They're doing initially and then they stop doing. And then they're like, ma'am, it didn't work. So tell them it will not work if you don't follow it. You need to continue with it so that you can get the results. Okay, so this is another very important thing to keep in mind. Next. Now let us discuss some simple ways to improve children's behavior in school as well as home. Apart from the techniques which we have already discussed now, there are some other way out as well. So let us discuss. So parents and teachers, they often wonder how to discipline their child with their behavioral problems, because behavioral problem is a very common problem. Some children truly, they have challenging behaviors. Regardless of what strategies we try, it becomes very difficult for us to manage these children. However, many children benefit when adults in their lives make respond or interact with them in the way they react. So verbally acknowledge the changes in the child's efforts. It's good that you are doing this. Very good. Verbally, you can acknowledge. You can also use positive body language to show the approval of positive behavior. Like, show your child or your student that you are happy to see them. Very good. I'm so happy to see you. So this is also another thing which is going to, help in improving on the marks. So this is how it is to be done. Apart from that, few other things. Remind your child or your students that they could be proud of themselves. Example, you worked so hard on the science project. You should be proud of yourself. You did a great job. So in this way, what is happening? They are learning to behave in a particular way. And they are also understanding that our behavior is being praised. This is important. So praise is a very good way to deal with the parts in an appropriate way when we are trying to deal with our kids. Okay. Take an interest in your child's or student's interest, what they are doing, what they are showing. You should also pay attention to it. It should not be like, you do whatever you feel like. That should not be the thing. That is also very important. honest. Acknowledge your child's or your students' feelings with empathy. Show them empathy. Be open-minded and don't pass judgment on your child or children. If their thoughts, their values, their feelings, their ideas do not match yours, you need to be open. Like we were discussing, there are individual differences. Follow through your promises that you have promised your child. Yeah, there can be certain situations where maybe it was not possible to follow, but for that, you are supposed to give appropriate reason to the child so that the child gets to understand and stay away from empty threats. That part is also there. Apart from that, there are certain things, other things that you are supposed to follow while carrying out with your child's behavior. That is, show good behaviors so that they are also learning good behaviors. That is also very important. Set a clear routine. Instead of, I expected you would be doing this. No, they don't understand what you expect and what you not. Set a clear routine. It can be a written routine that they can follow. Okay, that would be of help if you're trying to carry out in that way. Mute distractions. Any kind of thing that is acting as a distraction for the child. Try to bring change in the environment so that it is not acting as a distraction anymore. Don't worry, any particular slide, if you have missed out to note, I'll also share the recording with you. Grab their attention. You're teaching something to the child and you are, going ahead in a dull manner. It would not work. Like today you have joined for this workshop. So I'm trying to grab your attention by showing a slide, by showing you some pictures, by sharing some examples or client stories. You're getting to understand. Along with these things, few other things that we can go ahead and follow is offer brief and sincere praise to your child. Until and unless your child is being praised, it will not work. And also create a place to cool off. Always the child is on a rush or no. Like cool off, child is just doing some coloring, just playing with something, just listening to music, even that is important. Let fidgety students move around. There are certain students who are very fidgety. And what the teacher does, sit quietly on your place. You don't dare to stand up also. That would not work. That means the level of energy in the child is at very high level. If you are trying to stop the child will not be able to because of the excess level of energy. So what will you have to do? Allow the child or utilize the energy in some or the other way. Please come. Can you please rub the board? Can you please assist me with the books to the staff room? Can you please distribute the copies? Can you please find the class and write the name of the people who are talking? So engage them. Use their extra energy. That can be done. Now, apart from these things, another very important and very practical thing that we are supposed to do is go ahead with the ABC of behavior management at home or be it at school. So what is this ABC? A stands for antecedents, B stands for behavior, and C stands for consequences. So this is what we will have to go ahead and understand. Okay, let us discuss how it does work. So to understand and respond effectively to problem behavior, you must think about what came before it as well as what comes after it. There are three important aspects of any kind of behavior. So if you are trying to focus on a particular behavior, you need to understand what led up to that scene. What was it because of which this happened? Okay. So antecedents. What is antecedent? That means prior to that behavior, what happened? which precedes the factors that make a particular behavior more or less likely to occur. What happened because of which the person did that? So another more familiar term is what did it trigger? For example, the child started pushing the other child. So what happened prior? So that child has taken his tiffin box. That's why this child is pushing. So that is the antecedent. Learning and anticipating antecedents is an extremely helpful tool for preventing misbehavior. Only scolding the child, why did you do? Why did you do will not help, or stop being naughty will not help. You need to understand what was the antecedent, what led up to the scene. Next is the behavior. Behavior is the specific action that you are trying to encourage or discourage. And last is the consequence. That means after carrying out with the behavior, what was the consequence faced by the child? Just a while ago, we have been discussing in detail that depending upon the consequence, a lot of things could be varied. So the results that are naturally or logically is going to follow a particular behavior consequence that is positive or negative, affect the likelihood of that behavior would be again repeated, or it is not going to be repeated. And the more immediate the consequence, the more powerful it is. Immediately you will have to give the consequence, otherwise it will not work. Now, when we are talking about this antecedents and it can help an individual stop unhealthy behavior, so there are certain antecedents that we need to avoid. What are those antecedents? Assuming expectations are understood, transitioning without warning. The child was doing something, suddenly you snatch the copy and you tell the child, no, now your piano class has started, go. No, you need to tell the child, okay, 5 more minutes, then we will stop this, and after that, we will have the piano class. Later on, you can come back and you can complete. Instead of snatching your time is over and go to the piano class. It will not work. Like I have myself seen this thing while working in a school. That's why I'm mentioning. The teacher is just snatching away. Oh, if the bell has rung. So inform the child prior. The child does not have any idea about, the time of the class, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Inform the child. Ask rapid fire questions or giving a series of instructions. This kind of things would not work. This is an antecedent that we need to. So what kind of antecedents we should follow? Beware of the situation, adjusting to the environment, making clear expectations. Until and unless they are having clarity what is expected of them, they will not be able to follow them. Make expectations clear for them, depending upon their age. Provide countdowns for transition, like prepare a child for coming to a transition. 2 more minutes left. Okay, in that way. Let the kids have a choice. Otherwise, imposing things would not help. So you would first like to color this, or you would first like to do the like drawing, this particular drawing. So let them choose. So what kind of consequences we are supposed to avoid? We are saying, no, A, B, C, C is the consequence. What kind of consequence we are supposed to avoid? Giving negative attention. Okay. Yes, with regard to ABC technique only we are discussing. A is the antecedent. I mentioned, no, somebody pushed the child, and after that the child is pulling the hair. So A is the antecedent. Behavior is pulling the hair, and C is the consequence. Consequence is what the teacher or the mother is reacting based on. So there are certain consequences that we should avoid. Delayed consequence. When the child pulled the hair, then you didn't scold. Then tomorrow you are mentioning, yesterday you have pulled her hair, it would not work. Doesn't matter now. It should be immediate. And if it's disproportionate, maybe the child has pulled the hair and for that you are thrashing the child and hitting the child and punishing the child and saying today no lunch. That is not proportionate to what the child has done. That should not be done. And also they are not supposed to receive a positive consequence. Oh, it's a no, that is not okay. That part also we need to know. So then what kind of consequences we should follow that would be effective? We need to pay positive attention to positive behavior. We need to ignore actively certain things. We need to reward. We need to have a lot of options for reward. We need to be consistent. We need to set rules and then follow. Because they also need to learn, what they are supposed to follow. Reinforcement for desirable behavior, something they are desiring. So you reinforce. Only then it is going to be of help. So this is another very important thing that we are supposed to follow. Now, apart from these behavioral techniques and all the practical things that we have discussed, positive parenting is also a skill. Your Indian parents, we think that, oh, I am the mother, so I can never be incorrect. Even if you are a psychologist or a school psychologist, you are trying to give suggestion to the parents. Often the parents are like, ma'am, I know. So it's like, oh, I don't have to listen from you. No, you can be a very good mother, but parenting is a skill that need to be learned. So positive parenting, like with regard to positive parenting, separately we are having a short certificate course. Any of you who is interested, I should say you can enroll on that. But that is very important and that is very practical ways, specifically if you're dealing with children, dealing with adolescents, dealing with parental counseling, working or attached with schools, rehab centers, and NGOs. It's very important. So positive parenting is not restricted to a method, a set of rules, or a style. It is a belief, a way of living. So children should be treated with respect, free from fear of violence and shame, and guided with loving and encouragement. So the very first step to become positive parent is to adjust one's thinking by improving your own knowledge, own attitudes, own behaviors, own skills. So to achieve this, parents must be willing to reflect on themselves and their role as parents. If the parents are like, no, I am correct, you would not be able to deal with your children. So do their best to complete all the activities and use the new information in their daily interactions with their children. Parents would learn that communication is a crucial way to ensure an ongoing relationship with their children. If they're not able to learn or bring about a change in that, definitely it is not going to work. Positive parenting is about long-term solutions that develop child's self-discipline. If the parents are coming up to you and then mentioning, give me some tips and I'll just do it and immediately I will get some change, it would not work. Positive parenting is clear communication of expectations, clear communication of rules and the limits that the child is supposed to follow. It is about building a mutually respectful relationship with your child. It's not always screaming, biting, pushing, hitting. No. Positive parenting is about teaching your child lifelong skills, not how hard you as a parent. Often I have come across in my life many people saying that, my father was very rude. My father was a very angry person and we used to fear. That is not parenting. That is not something that you should be proud of, that I'm so rude with my child. I'm so angry and I'm so rigid with rules. That is not at all positive parenting. Because now your child is small, your child is listening. After a point of time, the child will just not care about your, how eyes you are making and how rude you are. Just not care. The child instead would rudely answer back to you. So positive parenting is about increasing the child's competence and confidence to handle the challenging situations. And it is about teaching the courtesy, non-violence, empathy, self-respect, human rights, and respect for others. If you are not following these things, the child will not show courtesy to you, would be violent towards you and others, would be not learning empathy, would not respect their own self. You are violating the human rights and they will not respect you as well. So they need to have a clarity what positive parenting is not. So it is not like positive parenting is not permissive parenting. It is not letting your child do whatever you want, you do it. No, that is not parenting. Your guidance is important. It is not like expectations about no rules, no limits. It's not so. And positive parenting is not about short-term reactions or alternative punishments to slapping and hitting. No, it is not a short-term thing. You must follow through the things. Only then you will get the necessary help. So once you have a clear understanding of the key boundaries you want to see or change, try out the strategies below to address these behaviors and support your child to think and act independently. Only then it will work. So what you are supposed to do, make a list what is considered good and bad behavior at home and the boundaries of these behaviors as well as the consequences of not adhering to the behaviors. Then depending upon the age of your child, do this together with them. Display this list at home in a place where everyone can see so that they are also seeing, they are also learning. Okay. That's a very important thing that need to be done. Appreciate and praise the child every time he or she displays or shows some good behavior and unconditional and positive regard towards the child is also very important. Also note, we should disapprove and dislike the wrongful behavior of the child, not the child himself. Often parents mention, you're a very bad child. I don't love you. Mama don't love you. No, it's not mama don't love you. It's like this behavior is not good. So don't just blame the child as a whole with regard to something. That is not supposed to be done. While carrying out with these things, at times parenting can be actually difficult. So it is important to keep in mind that this positive parenting techniques will take time and patience. Often parents are like, ma'am, whatever you told me, I did it, but it didn't work. So I have stopped. So you do it for 2 days or 7 days, it would not work. You need to follow through this. It cannot be achieved in a day. If you don't work today, remember you can try tomorrow. It is important to be consistent in your parenting approach, and being consistent is the only way your child may be able to understand what you are trying to communicate. Once you are doing, once you are not doing, that will not at all help individuals in any way. Parents often realize late in the evening of life, so that they were far more critical about their child's negative behavior than complaining their good behavior. So how would you feel about a boss who had treated you with such negative guidance, however well-intentioned intentioned it was? So a more effective approach that need to be, followed would be to would be to catch kids doing something right. So you made your bed without being asked. So that's terrific. You have kept your shirt clean and creaseless. Wow, you have grown up. Or I was watching you play with your sister and you were exceptionally patient and caring. Such complimentary statements will do more to encourage good behavior in the long run than, uh, you know, you are choosing to scold or hurt the child or, say the child, shame, shame, nobody will love you, mama don't loves you. This is not going to be of any help. Apart from these things, few other things that we need to follow. That is setting the limits. There should be a limits that need to be followed. They need to know where is the limit. You can also do whatever you feel like and you can think, oh, I'm such a cool mother, I'm not imposing things. No, it's important. Discipline is absolute for every household and every child. So the goal of discipline is to help the child choose acceptable behaviors and also learn self-control. They may first test the limits you set for them. These are first external and eventually internalized with advances in age, and limits internalized become necessary in one's growth into adult responsibilities. So what is happening if you're not teaching them the limits? They would not get to understand where to stop. So if you are not teaching, then somebody else will be teaching and saying negative things to your child. Obviously, you would not like that. So establish house rules, like no TV until homework is done, no physical violence, sparing others for their transecration, avoiding name calling or hurtful teasing of others. Help kids to understand parental expectations, develop self-control. These are some of the things that we need to understand with regard to the limit setting for our individuals. In order to enforce this, one might need a system in a place, like one warning followed by avoidable, undesirable consequence or a punishment such as timeout, or they're losing out some privilege that they used to get previously, so that they can get to understand that if this is done, then this will be taken away. That is there. A common mistake parents often make is failure to follow through with the consequences. So one cannot discipline a child for running or pushing one day and ignoring the same behavior for the next. So consistency and contingency in punishment teaches what to expect. So as a corollary, and the same needs to be applied to rewards for approved and appropriate behavior. This is very, very important that we follow through the things in an appropriate structured way in order to get the best possible results. This is very, very important that we follow. Apart from these things, few other practical things that we are supposed to follow with our individuals. That is finding a time for your child. Often parents mention, no, I don't get time. So that is not going to work. Your child's need to be followed. Your child's needs are to be fulfilled. You should find out time in whichever way possible. Being a good role model, as we were discussing, make a communication priority. Communicate with your child. Otherwise, a gap with you and your child is increasing. That is not at all a good parenting. Keep the parenting flexible. For example, it's child's birthday, but you are like, no, birthday, so what? Throughout the day, you will study and nothing party. No, we need to be also flexible in certain things. Unconditional love. Don't put any condition. If you get 100%, then mama will love. This kind of things are not to be done. Beware of limitations. How much limit you are putting, where you are supposed to put. You should be aware and you should keep a check on those things. Differentiating normal and unrealistic expectations is also very much important. Many a time what happens is we impose a lot of things on the child without understanding. And we expect that, yeah, it's normal, when it is actually not normal. For example, my child is poor in English. He gets 50%. So I'm saying this time, at least 95% you must get. 100% people don't get in English, so at least 95%. So it is an unrealistic expectation. A 50% cannot get 95%. That you are imposing stress on your child. That will not help. And lastly, boost your child's self-confidence and self-esteem. If you are not doing it, the child will grow up to be like dull and will start to believe that, oh, I am stupid. I am dull. I cannot do anything. So that will be a disaster. So this is something which we are not supposed to do. Lastly, despite of doing all these things, many a time we get to see that a child is very uncooperative, maybe also defiant. That part is also there. So dealing with defiance, this is the last part that we are going to discuss. So make sure both the parents are on the same page. Father is saying, yeah, okay. But mother is saying, no, that will not work. Then the child will defy. Make sure you have a predictable routine. Sudden and unexpected changes would increase resistance and they would defy. Build a relationship by positive, neutral attention. Example, thank you for answering the phone. You're wearing green today. Give at least 5 positive comments to every negative comment. Every time, don't count only you are this, you are that, this is good, this is bad. No, the proportion should be maintained. Spend at least 15 minutes of one-on-one time to 3 to 4 times a week with each child, so that the children are not thinking mama loves him more and does not pay attention to me. So they will not listen to you then. Give one comment at a time and speak in a businessman tone. Communicate clear, specific expectations. Example, fill and run the dishwasher. Put the dishes away when the dishwasher is done, and be flexible and adapt to the changing demands of each day. So these are certain practical things. Like today, we have discussed all the practical strategies that we need to follow through to carry out our children. So with this, we are done with the part that we had to cover for our today's session. So we did discuss about the rules for controlling behavior, increasing the desirable behaviors, simple ways to improve children's behavior, the ABC of behavior management at home, the positive parenting, and dealing with defiance. So these were the parts we had to cover for today's session. Okay, so now let me tell you with regard to the certificate part. All of you, first of all, thank you to all of you for showing an interest and for joining in the session, and for being consistent throughout and participating and coming up with your doubt, queries, and all the things. So I hope you have learned a lot of practical things from the session, which is going to help you. Although there are many other things which are left, which you can learn from joining the course on positive parenting, on behavior management coach, which is going to help you get trained with regard to these areas before you implement on the part. And those like courses are certificate course for practitioner. So those will be practitioner course and will be internationally graded, so that you can, get recognition showing that certificate for your work related areas, which is also going to add up your CV. So I would request all of you to share your feedback with us in the WhatsApp group once the session gets over, about what all things you could learn from today's session, what all practical things have been discussed, and how the case discussions, the practical examples have helped you to understand with regard to the concepts. Okay. After that, in a day or two, we are going to share a link, a Google link in the WhatsApp group, and you will have to operate that link from your computer or laptop, where you will have to add in your details that will be asked. And after that, we will be processing your certificates. Certificates takes 15 to 17 working days for you all to receive. We will keep you all updated about the same. And apart from that, all of you have my number. You can see it on the screen, 7003246262. You can save this number. You can stay connected with me, and just drop in a message at my personal WhatsApp window, be it for any update or any other course, any other suggestion, any personal help or client referral. Definitely you can reach out to me. Okay. Yes, I can see your hand. Please go ahead. You need to unmute your device. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Where are you?
Ma'am, there is a question that how to set a growth mindset from fixed mindset.
Mhm. Okay, it depends on the case history. Like in single line, it cannot be mentioned. If you are mentioning it's a growth mindset that we want to develop. So first of all, we will have to understand what is the root cause for that fixed mindset, or what is it the person is getting fixated. What are the person's fears because of which the person is fearing that thing. Many a time what happens is the person fears to take feedback, or maybe the self-esteem is very shallow, or maybe the person is becoming, like protective, thinking that others are trying to insult. That's why they are keeping it fixed. So person-wise or client-wise, we will have to look into the part and then gradually help the person overcome and break free from the thing. That's what. Yes. Else, any of you would like to inquire?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know some things. Actually, like, if children we have, when children have like in the same age. So if you have any behavioral issues, like always they're fighting and kind of impulsive behavior means, how can we handle that?
I didn't get your question.
Actually, I just want to know that the children with the like kind of a same age,
Same age.
yeah, same age. They
Yes.
have a behavioral issues, always fighting, always feel impulsive, not like to share anything, like something like kind of like siblings issues, you know. So how can we handle that?
Sibling issue is totally different. So sibling rivalry, then with regard to parenting skills, we will have to look into training
Okay,
them,
okay.
all the both the children to respect each other and also helping them with negotiation skills rather than fighting. Somewhere it develops because of poor parenting, where the parent is always comparing with the other child or paying attention to the younger one, always scolding the elder one. So those kind of areas also we need to look at. Then only. Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, and another thing, will you share this video? Like,
Yeah, the recording will be shared and you will get the presentation in the form of recordings.
okay, thank you.
So once again, thank you to share your feedback in detail, whatever you have learned, and how was your overall experience with regard to the learning procedure. And I hope to meet you all soon in some other course, internship or workshop. Every Sundays we are having workshop. Next Sunday also we are going to have a workshop. You can stay in touch with us, with me personally at my personal WhatsApp window. You can see the number here on the screen. Also have, you already have the number because before joining the group, before joining the session, I shared the welcome message and the link that was from my number itself. Or you can also check with our website. There on a regular basis, we update the courses, workshops, and internships on a regular basis. So now from the next month, more such courses and workshops are waiting. So I hope to meet you all again soon. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a lovely time with you all. Take care all. Have a great Sunday.